9, okay. All right, we'll call this meeting to order of the August 3rd, 2017 meeting. Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Eby.
Here.
Commissioner Padilla.
Here.
Vice Chair Dunstan's absent. Commissioner Hamel.
Here.
Okay, is there any reordering of the meeting today? I don't think so.
No, sir.
Okay. So it looks like we're going to be electing officers tonight. I'd like to make the first nomination, if I may.
Patty, use your mic too when you're...
And nominate the current Vice Chair, Commissioner Dunstan, to become the Chair.
I second that motion.
Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. Looks like Commissioner Dunstan is our new chairman.
And I nominate Joe Padilla as the vice chair. Do I have a second?
Do I second that? Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Looks like I am the vice chair moving forward. Thank you. Thanks, Dan. Any presentations today? Looks like none. Approval of the minutes from the regular Planning Commission meeting of July 6, 2017.
I move we approve the minutes of the July, can't read it without my glasses,
July 6.
July 6th meeting as written.
I second them.
And can just two people vote? I mean,
Yeah, yes, that's
okay.
fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful.
And Commissioner Hamel will abstain.
Yes. Any public comment? Great. No consent calendar. No continued public hearings. No new public hearings. We'll move on to item number 3, other business, the concept review of 518 Avenue of the Flags mixed-use project. Contract City Planner Irma Tucker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Padilla. So the project that is before you this evening is for a concept review. And as with all other concept reviews, this is just literally a presentation of a concept. The applicant would like feedback from the Planning Commission, general thoughts, direction. Staff has not performed any type of an analysis on this project. No fees have been paid, so we don't have anything more than just some basic comments. And that is what the applicant is looking for. The applicant's representative is here tonight. Actually, the architect who submitted the application was sick tonight, so Rick Hummel, on behalf of the architect, is here. He's worked on the project, and Larry Rodart also is here on behalf of the applicant. This project was submitted on behalf of the property owner, Cameron Amiri. He owns Cameron and Company. This is a
The restaurant supply company?
It's a restaurant supply company. It's a food service and laundry supply company that's currently located in Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, right.
And they are locating their offices and their storage/showroom area here to Buellton. This property is in the Avenue Flag specific plan. And this is the map of where it is located. This is the most current aerial that we have, but the Buellton apartments are right here, and they have been built since this aerial was taken. This is 2nd Street right here, and the Avenue Flags. And this is the location of the future Town Plaza area, just so you have it in perspective in terms of the Avenue Flags. The property is about a little over 1 acre, almost 1 1/4 acre site. It's currently vacant. It's currently zoned CR for general commercial, and at the time the specific plan is approved, that zoning, that will be the underlying zoning. However, the specific plan zone will supersede that in terms of development guidelines. The applicant is aware that currently we're kind of in a gray area, and he's had submitted this application in a two-phased approach, thinking that if they are able to submit and just get the ball rolling before this specific plan is approved, they'd like to get it started. So one of the reasons for the two-phase project. But just going through the site information, the current zoning pre-specific plan limits it to 35 feet in height, and the project is proposed at 28 feet in height, so it's more than meets that standard. The entire site is in the 100-year flood zone, and it will need to meet the floodplain ordinance compliance requirements, so that they're going to more than likely need grading to bring it into compliance, and also make sure that any habitable structures are, the finished floor elevations meet the requirements of the floodplain.
Irma, could you bring the microphone for the people at home, because it's hard for them to hear? Thank you.
Okay, I'll bring it a little bit closer there. Okay. So, as I mentioned, the owner and the anchor tenant is Cameron and Company. The applicant is Archeon Architects, and this is a mixed-use commercial project in 2 phases. And again, it's a future avenue of flag-specific plan area. And the plans will need to conform to regulations in place at the time of application completeness. So even if they do submit their first phase before the specific plan is approved, at the time that the application is complete and all documents are in, they would be going by the standards that are in at that time. And this includes design styles, form-based code, and parking allocations. So phase 1 of the project consists of a 21,820 square foot commercial building. Actually, it's 2 buildings. The building that fronts the Avenue of Flags is retail on the bottom, office space on the top floor, and the second building in the back is storage and showroom areas. And they're proposing 62 parking spaces plus a loading zone, and they are able to park all of these spaces on site for the first phase of the commercial project. And the driveway access is proposed along 2nd Street, and I'll put the site plan up in a moment and we'll take a look at that. And phase 2, which would come later, is 8 apartment units on the rear portion of the site, and on-site parking for this phase would need to be supplemented by public parking as a public benefit to potentially be built by the applicant under a future specific plan DOR incentive program. And the terms and the number of spaces and all the nuances of that agreement will be subject to a negotiation as we go through that DOR process.
So, as they go through this, and the specific plan is whatever, not bogged down or whatever, how will we approve this? Will we just approve it through phase 1? Because they can't meet the parking requirements on phase 2?
Correct. Well, let me bring up the site plan. So phase 1 will be built and parked all on site. So the parking meets all the requirements, circulation, everything. So what we're looking at would be a final development plan for the phase 1 portion at the time they submit the application, and knowing that they've got in the future 8 apartment units in a building back here. And
how many would they require? How many parking spaces?
for the commercial project, they are required to have 61 spaces. And they're providing 62. plus the loading zone.
And let me clarify the parking with you'd have a final development plan where everything would be fully parked, fully, all the standards would be met. And then you would also approve a preliminary development plan for the apartments, which would just be a preliminary. Shows that there's contingencies built into preliminary development plans like we did with the Terravant project. There was a final for one, and then their expansion that they never did was a preliminary. They would have to come back with another final development plan to implement the preliminary one and provide the required parking, whether through the DRR program or some other method if that somehow doesn't work out.
Well, just so I'm clear at this point, Mark, the initial phase, it has the ample parking for what's required, but there's one extra space, it sounds like. So if the new unit required 10 spots, they'd be short 9 spots, which we'd have to find another way to get those
Correct.
allocated to
Correct.
this property. Okay.
Correct.
So they need 21 spaces if built like it is. 21 spaces for the apartments.
For 8 units?
That's what this little sheet says.
Yeah, so, yeah, correct. So
Okay.
that's how much they would need. And how that would lay out is also, will be subject to further review at the time it comes in. But this just presents a general idea of what they're looking at. So they're trying to lay this out so that in the future, when they come in with the apartment and reconfigure the parking, there will be a minimum amount of disruption to the site to have to retrofit it for the parking. And the only other item that we have really are the elevations, which are, at this point, the applicant has indicated that they will work along with us in terms of coming up with a design theme that fits with the avenue. And this is just a generic design theme that they are showing here. But the application and the project plans, when they are submitted, will need to comply with the design guidelines and go in the direction that's being shown in the Avenue flag-specific plan. And as I mentioned earlier, we have not reviewed the plans for compliance with the municipal code, nor have any of the other agencies reviewed the plans. As we just discussed, Phase 1, we would be looking at a final development plan, and for Phase 2, a preliminary development plan required at this time, plus a future final development plan for when that phase is actually triggered into this final stage. A couple of the items that we'd like to clarify. On some of the plans, it just indicates storage in this back area here, and some of the plans say storage showroom. So I would like the applicant to clarify how the storage, rather the showroom space, my pointer's not working anyway, the showroom space would work back in this area. This is the location where Cameron and Company is proposing their offices, so there's proximity there. But I would like, if they can address that now, that would be great. Couple other comments I have. The elevations show signage for potential cafe use, and I understand these are just concept plans, and they may have just put that up as a illustrative. But if there are restaurant uses or cafe use proposed, that could potentially trigger different parking calculations, and also making sure that use is, there aren't any other restrictions that would prohibit that type of a use there. And the other comment is that as I mentioned before, the parking space calculations for Phase 1 and 2 would be subject to review and potential adjustment per the DOR incentive program. And our recommendation today is that the Planning Commission provide initial feedback and comments on the conceptual project plans.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a couple questions and some comments. So I see on the parking plan, G2, are they counting the 5 spaces out on the Avenue of the Flags as part of their parking?
Well, that would be part of something that they would need to be building as the public benefit part of this in the incentive program.
But that's part of the 62?
That would be in if at the time that they were building the apartments, that would be factored into, that's not part of the 62.
Okay, that's
Sorry.
my question.
It would be built as part of Phase 1, but wouldn't be done towards the required parking calculations for the commercial. That would be used for the residential along with additional parking somewhere else on the avenue to make up the difference.
And just off the top of everybody's head, where would they get 20 or 16 spaces at this point, or 15?
We have medians on the avenue that are designated for public parking, and they could construct that.
And so I live there, I park across the street, I have to walk across the street carrying my groceries.
No, I think what they're thinking is they might allocate that for the business parking and segment.
That's
off
correct. The
other for
residential would be
residential.
on site. It would be the commercial
So
that
you
would be
do
part of that.
flip-flop. You build
Right.
this
Yes.
new, that becomes the commercial parking.
Yes.
And then interior becomes, then, okay, that
Yes.
helps.
Right, and on this site plan, that's Phase 1 and 2, let me go back. If you notice here, there's through circulation on the parking. You can go all the way around, you can get into the upper right-hand corner of all the parking there for Phase 1, so that parks the commercial on site. But when we move over to, when Phase 2 kicks in, you'll notice that the parking for the commercial has been blocked off, and parking for the residential is segregated towards the
Okay,
back.
gotcha.
So they're going to reconfigure part of it.
What about the entrances? Are they entering off of Avenue of the Flags, or is it
No.
entering in through the
No,
interior? part?
the entrances are here, in here. There's 2 driveways for the
I'm
commercial.
sorry, I meant the buildings themselves. Is there a street access, or is it just going to be, because it looks like there's some sort of fencing or shrubbery. I'm not sure what that, I don't understand what that design is that's in front.
Trellises.
Trellises.
So
Okay.
I think there'll be access both sides.
So people will, that's my question. Yeah, there'll be access on both sides,
Yeah,
okay.
so the street access, street frontage access along Avenue of Flags is here. And this is where there would be the retail, storefronts, stairs.
No elevator?
For commercial, probably not. If the residential were 2 stories, then that would be a requirement. But but we will take a look at that. Again, this is just at this stage conceptual.
Okay.
And so then the use on this, on that, on this commercial part in the front here, the showroom, is this for industry, or is it open to the public? What kind of use is going to be happening? What kind of business?
And perhaps when the applicant may be better
Yeah.
able to to answer that question. Cameron and Company, according to the elevations, is showing their office to be located right here. So they would conceivably have ground floor access plus offices upstairs. And then their showroom storage is directly in back of that. And then these other entities, other businesses would be available, or spaces would be available for lease to other businesses.
Oh, that's what I didn't understand.
Yes.
I thought they were taking the whole thing
No.
as showroom. That's,
No, they're taking,
Okay.
they're taking
so those are individual retail.
their individual retail.
Great, okay. Now it's starting to
Okay.
click a little bit. Just wasn't tracking there for a second.
Okay. And they are showing doesn't show up this is really well here. They are showing a small corner courtyard,
Yeah, I
which
see
would be
that
right here. So, and that and here, and the design for that all still needs to be fleshed out a little bit more with the exterior staircase here, and so I'm not quite sure, you know, how that will work in the final design. So we need to revisit that corner also.
Do you have any questions?
I have a question on the apartments. Are those going to be market rates, market rents? The residential?
Well, maybe you want the applicant now to come up and talk a little bit, then you can ask questions.
Perfect.
Good evening, council members. My name is Larry Rodardi. I'm a representative of Cameron and Company. And to answer your question, yes, there'll be open market apartments. And if I could address another question that the council members have, the showroom will be facing the Avenue of the Stars, and the back portion will be basically inventory that we sell out of the front.
So Cameron and Company will have all the back storage places?
That is correct.
Okay.
Those
So that's already occupied?
Those are the three over here we're talking about?
Yes, it's about
Okay.
5,000 feet of storage
Sure.
for sales that we generate from
These,
Great.
the front.
Those, you're
Those are-
right.
yes.
Those three, okay.
Right.
And then the corner unit there is the only place you plan to occupy?
That is
The other
correct.
5 are going to, or 6 there, I guess, would be,
Would be
Right
this,
here.
this side would be our offices and showroom, and then these would be leasable spaces.
wonderful.
And then we'll have a courtyard here. I believe the city asked us to do something aesthetically to appealing the corner there to, and we thought it was a great idea to, but
Do you see a possibility of having a cafe there, some type of restaurant?
yes.
Okay, that'd be great to know, so, because different parking regulations come into effect and they could become more stringent.
And this is the old property where the gas station was?
That's correct.
That was gone in a day.
Yes.
Wasn't there a,
Yeah.
They've worked out that detail regarding restaurants on the site.
that's my next question.
You can, they can address it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that was worked out with limiting us to, I believe, 1,500 square foot, what you call maybe a pizza place. There won't be very much sit down in the cafe. It'd be more of a go out, sit on the patio and have a sandwich or so.
Sure.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Good to know.
And I just would like to mention that the applicants have been very positive on this project and working with the city to implement the vision for the avenue and the specific plan that we're doing. So it's been a very, very positive process from all involved, and we do appreciate that, and I think it's going to become a good cornerstone project there at the corner.
Well, they're a fantastic company. I've been doing business with them for 6 years now, and the way they treat people,
Yes.
it's good stuff. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think, just for me, the more we see of it, the more detail you can get down to, I think that would be really helpful on your next presentation, would be very much more specific, in design and everything, and it'll be a groundbreaker for the Avenue of Flags.
It'd be nice.
So,
I just want the front end of it. I mean, obviously you haven't done all the elevations and all that. My concern is how attractive it looks, and obviously in this, I just saw the flatness of it, but I'm sure when it's all dolled up and finalized, it'll look pretty. Any other questions? Yeah, you good? All right. Thank you, and best of luck to you guys.
I think that means you have positive to move forward and just work with us on the details on the plans, and
Yeah.
we'll get a
Encourage
project
this very much.
in for processing.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be
all right.
Great.
Thanks, guys. All right, next item. Any written communications?
No, sir.
Planning Commissioner comments. I got no comments. Do you have any comments, Dan?
No.
Do you have any comments?
No, I would say my one comment is, I feel very lucky to live in a city which throws its occupants, its people who live here, a barbecue. I tell people that, and they go, "Your city throws a barbecue?" I go, yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't cost you anything, except for maybe a dessert. So I feel very lucky to live in a town like this.
Yeah, and I just, to follow up with that, just compliment Kyle, Barbara, and Paul from our Recreation Department who organized it, and then all the volunteers, including Commissioner Heady, who worked the various concessions there to make it a great event for the city. And it's his 15th year.
Really, that's
that we've done
When they
it.
said that.
So again, when you see them, thank them for all the work, because it is a lot of work to organize and get all of that
Oh, yeah.
organized, so.
That's great. All right, only comment I have is to welcome Patty aboard.
Thank you.
It's very nice to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for stepping up and doing this. This is good. This is a lot of fun. You'll have a good time with it. Planning Director report, Mark?
And I'll update you on when you'll get a fifth commissioner.
Yes.
Patty was the only one who showed up at the meeting of the 4 who applied, so they appointed Patty as the 4th commissioner, and we've opened it up again for commission applications, and that'll be the second meeting in September when they will appoint someone.
Wow, that long, huh?
Well, we needed to get it out. The first meeting in September is being canceled because there's a league conference that they're going to,
Okay.
so it has to be that particular meeting. And a couple of the applicants who applied are still going to keep their hat in the ring and see if we'll get other ones moving forward. And your next meeting will be the Avenue Flag Specific Plan, and do you have their copies? We forgot to bring you your hard copies, but they are online.
Yes.
So,
Can we pick them up at the office?
yeah, we can have them available for you at the office.
Okay.
I'll,
Yes.
At the planning office?
yes,
Yeah.
I'll
I
have
want
them
to
out on
thank
the
you all very
counter for
much.
you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be submitting something within a couple of weeks. As you know, we're very eager to get this project off the ground. Looking
Great.
forward to working with staff and accomplishing everybody's needs.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, thanks.
Yes, you can come into the planning office to pick those up. You can also look at it online. So,
Have bound copies for you.
That's the one that I like to look and flip
Yeah.
through. It's hard to
Flip
see.
through.
and in September, we will be bringing the parking standards for restaurants to the commission to deliberate on. We're not going to bring the actual recommendation. We're just going to bring some stats on different options and scenarios based on 5, 10, 15, all of those percentages you directed us. And then you can debate it and then direct us to come back with a recommendation to the city council. Then we'll bring the resolution back to you. And try to stay cool. If you get complaints regarding the road work and the asphalt on the road, there's a link on the city's website to the Caltrans construction complaint. They take that. I've submitted a complaint on behalf of the city, and we've seen the street sweepers out there more, and there's a blower out there more, but still Avenue of Flags and all the way down the bridge are just covered with asphalt. They're not covering their loads. We've asked them to cover loads.
Yeah, today was very bad.
The other day they were staging the gravel trucks in the residential neighborhoods, and we got them to get out of there. So, and CHP got a little upset because they blocked off industrial, so CHP started their own traffic control. So, it's been
Took initiative.
rather interesting couple of days on 246. But the city's aware of it. We've complained. They need to complain because the more complaints Caltrans gets, the more they will address the situation.
Good to know.
Good.
That's it for me.
That was a light report. Great. Thank you. If there